Hey everybody, this is Pete and
Jule.
And
He said me.
who's there? Go Cookie Monster. Yeah, this is our Sunday afternoon special. We are going to go to Festicot. Okay, Epcot, and we're going to talk about the festivals. There are 4 festivals, and I'm going to go from order of where they are now. Right now, Epcot is in the middle, at the beginning of, the Flower and Garden Festival, or the International Flower and Garden Festival, sponsored by somebody. I don't know who it's sponsored by this year. It runs until June 2nd. And then the next festival will be the Food and Wine, and we don't have the dates for that quite yet. Last year it waited until late August.
Yes.
And ran through November, or part of November.
Yeah.
And then this year, but in the past it has usually only been like a 2-week break between the festivals. It was Flower and Garden, and then about 2 weeks later we were looking at Food and Wine. But that's not the case last year. Don't know how it's going to be this year. I'm kind of hoping it's the same. That's my personal opinion. Just my personal opinion. And then you have the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is the day after Thanksgiving, runs to December 30th. No matter where is the festival, International Festival of the Holidays. And then you have the Festival of the Arts. Starts up in about the second week of January and runs through near the end of February. So those are the 4 major festivals. You can tell by their names kind of what they specialize in. All of them have food booths. All of them have drink booths.
I was going to say, do you want me to give you a quick overview of...
Yes, actually you can.
I'll give you a quick overview of each one of them. If you want to start the same way he did, the Flower and Garden Festival, which is running right now, it really showcases the flowers and gardens that Epcot has there, and a lot of times they showcase that by giving you the Disney characters made out of those flowers and plants.
The topiaries, yeah.
Yes, the topiaries. They also have different foods and drinks that a lot of them entail a lot of the fresh fruits and veggies out of Florida.
Right.
So that's the big one for Flower and Garden. You also have the Food and Wine Festival that comes next. The Food and Wine Festival is really a showcase of all the flavors all over the world. That's really the main thing with it. It doesn't even have a whole lot of other stuff. It is about the food and the wine.
Right.
Then the Festival of the Holidays showcases the different holidays and how they appear all over the world. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of the winter flavors, winter holiday flavors, your cinnamons, your peppermints, your gingers, those kind of things.
A lot of sweets.
A lot of sweet stuff. And then when you go to the Festival of the Arts, really what they're showcasing there is all of the arts. That's everything from music, drawing, painting, even some metal work. You have a lot of the food and drinks also show off some of those arts. And I'll explain that as we get into that.
Yeah. Each of the festivals kind of have their own little type of concert series. Right now it's Garden Rocks. Notice the theme. Usually you get a lot of older bands, a lot of the what do I say, 80s, 70s, some 70s,
80s, yeah.
Some older things that go, and they perform nightly at the American Stage.
Yes.
And then during the one in the holiday seasons, you have the candlelight processional. Excuse me, I don't know what I was thinking of, and that is a retelling of the traditional biblical Christmas story in a way. You have a guest narrator and a chorus of singers. Used to be local singers and stuff, choirs. Now since COVID, it's been more cast members. Yeah. So that's that, and then you have different, like I know the holiday during the Festival of the Arts, they had the Broadway musicals, mainly Disney Broadway musicals, music going on there. But that's that. What she said about the topiaries, those are, if you ever get a chance, you got to see them. They're beautiful. Also, one of the things about the festival, the Flower and Garden Festival, is they have a butterfly area that you can see a lot of the butterflies floating around, and take some cool pictures. Bring your camera.
Definitely bring your camera. That's what I was going to say. With each one of them, there's little things that a lot of people kind of go to this stuff and go, well, what will there be for my kids in particular? And I kind of thought about that, and I was like realizing, like, for example, one of the things that they do is during the Flower and Garden Festival right now, they have it's Spike the Bee from some of the older cartoons. And Spike is hidden in some of your topiaries, so you have to go around and find Spike. And you've got a little map, a little map that you collect all the places where he's at, and you'll get a prize maybe at the end. So that's a good thing. Yeah,
they also have little play centers, play areas
Playground.
Too. Plus, of course, it's still Disney, and they do have character meet and greets.
Yes.
It's not like they just all of a sudden stop being Disney.
Yeah.
You still have all the attractions, all the rides. It's
you still have a lot of those.
A long time ago, Epcot was seen as kind of the adult park, and it still is to some extent. More because of things like drinking around the world and that type of thing. It's not there, but ever since Eisner came in and he started putting characters in all the parks, that's basically Epcot has become more kid friendly.
And there's starting to be more rides for that kind of stuff. We're concentrating on bringing some of those characters into that. In particular, you have a lot of worlds, so you're talking a lot of those princesses in particular.
Right, yeah.
Come from those different lands, and so you're starting to see Elsa and Anna, and you're starting to get a little bit of time, like you might go in and you might see like some pictures and stuff of Snow White and kind of those areas, so
the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are featured in Germany. Beauty and the Beast, they're in France.
Yes.
And they have different topiaries for them. They have one topiary of Beauty and the Beast and another of Cogsworth and Lumiere. The UK has Winnie the Pooh and also Peter Pan topiaries. Canada have special.
Well, I was going to say they have they have different things in different lands.
Right.
It just depends sort of on where you're at. Because one thing he was saying about Canada is near England also, like the European area, and that has we've seen it described that they have a flower garden, and they also have like a tea garden where they teach you about the different teas, the Twinings teas that
I think that's every. I don't even think
no, that's not even just for the flower and garden. I think they do that like through the year. But each one of them has kind of their own special.
And Canada has a very beautiful flower garden through the year too.
Yes.
Over by Le Cellier and that area.
So a lot of times they don't necessarily have a ton of like large topiaries,
right?
Because they're a topiary every year, every time of the year. So.
Now, if you go there this year and when we go there and we find that there might be a topiary there, we will tell you there. and there's topiaries throughout the whole park. So you have.
You even have like Buzz and Woody, so don't be worried that your kid's not going to find a character that they love, because they're all there.
Yeah. Really, they change out. You got a lot of the returning topiaries that come year after year. Some of them might change the position where they're at. Of course, Buzz is over by Mission Space. Actually, Buzz and Bo Peep are kind of closer together over as you're going towards there. Well, it's maybe someday when we do go, we'll I'll take you around all the topiaries.
Never know.
That's an idea. Okay. Last week we talked to you about our favorite things. Some of our favorite things, and today we're going to talk about. We're going to rank them for each of us, because we disagree. If you haven't figured that out from watching last week, there are some things we disagree about, and for different reasons. Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you go ahead and tell me your favorite and why?
Well, as I did this, I'll be honest, I kind of changed my mind. I didn't do it on purpose. I just changed kind of my thought process. I realized what I actually was loving about each one, and I really could come up with more about one festival than the others. And it was really the Flower and Garden Festival was probably my favorite in the end. I love the fact that you have the fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. If you get something with a vegetable in it, it tastes like it was just made, or like you just got it like the corn off the stalk. You got the peas out of the pod. It tastes fresh. And that's one thing I will tell you. Living in Florida, we've discovered that the fruits and vegetables here just taste fresher. I can't describe it. I don't know if they just get stuff all the time that's new, but it is. And so the Flower and Garden Festival has that. Again, you've got like things for the kids to do, so that's kind of fun. It keeps them busy and engaged with Spike the Bee. And then you also have a lot of their drinks in particular are citrusy.
Yes.
So I will warn you, like, you come for a beer, you're getting a citrusy beer at this time of year. If it's part of
Florida,
if it's part of the festival, you're gonna get that. It's a lot, and even like their frozen drinks. Things like that. A lot of them are things like papayas and pineapples and mangoes, and so it's just very.
It's not just their alcohol. It's not just their alcohol.
No,
drinks.
it's everything.
A lot of things.
Everything.
You get like slushies or
passion fruit's another one that you get a lot of.
It's kind of what's in season here, and ironically. Probably on purpose, living with the land provides a lot of the fruits
and
vegetables that are used throughout the restaurants in Epcot. And I got a little tired boy here.
And they even were watching a video just a little bit ago about them making the comment that one of the drinks that they had actually had an edible flower in it, and it was from the land, the Living with the Land pavilion. So they had gotten some flowers to come into your drink.
So that's what
part of it. And then also I noticed too, I am one of those that notices, like, in particular, music and scents, and I do notice that they're piping in like very summery scents too in some areas. Like when you go in, you're smelling stronger versions of like pineapple and like the fresh sheets, and you're getting a very spring type scent.
Yeah.
So and also listen for the music, because a lot of the music in your background is even like some of the more summery, springy songs. Like you think of your spring stuff. It is. It really fits, and I think that may be one reason why they slowed it down, where they have so much time between the food and wine, and
the flower and garden.
Flower and garden. Thank you. between those two festivals, I think, because you really have a lot of the flavors are very spring and or very fall. You're not really running into a lot of the summer stuff, because the summer stuff around here kind of stays very similar to what you get in the spring. So
well, and to be honest with you, I think one reason why they did the Food and Wine, moved it back towards Labor Day, is because they listened to their customers, their guests.
It was because it was too much too long.
When you had in July, you'd go to the Canada Pavilion and get some of that cheese soup that is so famous over at Le Cellier, and we're not going to mention any stuff like that. But you're eating it in the middle of July, a hot
bowl of soup doesn't really fit.
Either a hot cup or a hot bowl of soup. It's just not good.
Yeah.
Now, so they moved it back. And one of the things I like what they do, and they mentioned it in the video that we watched, is that when you have certain things you have like an early spring or late winter, early spring, and then a late spring, different menus at some of these places, because some of the things that come ripe and come good at early on in the spring are different than what comes in like May and June.
Well, I will tell you, even here where we live, it was a week or so ago, we went to the Strawberry Festival at one of our, the squares around us. And it's interesting because Brownwood has their Strawberry Festival in March. Whereas the one for Spanish Springs actually takes place later, toward fall. So, I mean, you get different stuff in different seasons. I mean, even the way they celebrated around here in general, different things happen.
And and that's within...
That's in a small village. That's not even, Disney World.
Okay.
What's your favorite?
My favorite, as I said before you cheated and stole mine, is still the Flower and Garden. No, I'm not saying that. And mine's a different reason.
Yeah.
I like food, as you can probably look at me and know that. And I like to go around and do it. I think the reason why I like that, and it's that way with all the festivals, is that you have other options. Like if I'm on a hurry and I want a quick bite, the food carts or the food kiosks are really good. Mine is more the topiaries and stuff, but it's also a little nostalgia. When we were in North Carolina and we started bringing our kids, one of the best times to bring our kids was when they were out of school, and they were always out of school from basically Good Friday to the following, for almost 10 days, for a full week after that. So we would come down either on Good Friday and start coming down and then stay until the Friday after, or we would come down the day after Easter and do that. So that was kind of a thing, and we would always end up going to the Flower and Garden was always open on. It wasn't until the other festivals, we really haven't had much time until we came here. Now the Food and Wine, I think we were before we moved down here, we'd been there.
Yeah. And
I think we even went to the Festival of Arts one time, but it was for a short period of time. And I love those. If I was going to rank them, I would say Flower and Garden. And then I would say it's a tie between the Festival of the Holidays and the Festival of the Arts. And then there's Food and Wine. One reason is Food and Wine is really year round. I mean, all the festivals have kind of this, food wise, kind of have the same thing. And I don't think Food and Wine really has anything other than just the Food and Wine, in my opinion.
We do, I will say, we do have there's a new area called a Communicore Hall.
Right.
And Communicore Hall is going to have some different things, and has had so far some different items, like a different like area for like one of the topiaries. There's a new topiary in that building,
which is Spike.
And in the building in general are some, like, you get to kind of learn how they make the topiaries and learn some different stuff about various, like the butterflies and the birds and the different things, which I'm assuming, or I'm thinking, with, you were talking about the Food and Wine not having anything, I think there's more of a plan this year with Communicore Hall to make it a little more interactive.
Yeah.
So I think you might, there are culinary demonstrations that have taken place before, but there's not been a whole lot of room for them, so there's only like one at a time. With this new Communicore Hall, I think there's plans to make that a little more intricate.
And that's kind of like, for the longest time, Epcot was basically Walcott for a long time. It had walls up. They were doing a lot of construction, and that basically took some of those extra things in the festivals. There were no as
right.
Jule said, there were no parts for them.
Right.
And so that changed, and now they're hopefully going to be coming back, and that might also be one reason why they have the bigger breaks between the festivals too, so they can prepare those things for them too. Probably as I said it's kind of a tie between Festival of the Holidays and the Festival of the Arts. I really love the Festival of the Holidays. One is I love Christmas, if you didn't know that. 291 days, but we won't go there. But the storytellers that they have telling all the traditions of the different festivals during or holiday traditions in their things, like you have Father Christmas, you have Père Noël, you have Norwegian Barn Santa, you have the Italian Christmas witch. Can't think of her name offhand. Plus others that are really cool too. And during the Festival of Arts, you have all the artwork. Chalk art is so cool. You walk between the other areas and the World Showcase. The sidewalk leading into it. You have professional chalk artists come and do really cool artwork there. Plus, if you want to buy art, you can buy art there too.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a rundown on my favorite in the order I'd put it. The Flower and Garden is probably my favorite. It's really the one that's got, to me, the most stuff and the freshest food. I would probably say, unlike him, I would definitely say Festival of the Holidays is second.
Okay.
I like holiday foods in a lot of cases. I love peppermint stuff, like peppermint cookies and that kind of thing. Now, I don't like peppermints, but I like all the flavor of that in my, like, cookies and stuff, and cinnamons and gingerbread cocktails, and I love all that kind of stuff. So that probably comes in second for me. I'd probably put Food and Wine next. I concentrate on the food, and I love to have wine cocktails, and the Food and Wine a lot of times has more of the wine cocktail stuff. And Festival of the Arts is probably my least favorite, and I don't dislike it. I do feel like there's a chance to, like, buy art, but sometimes I feel like Epcot gets so overrun with all the booths that you don't even see the beauty of Epcot itself, because the Festival of the Arts is so crowded with vendors. I can see what you're saying on that. I can. Yeah, the vendors just really kind of. I miss some of that. I miss it when it was less like that, and it was more. You saw the chalk drawings, and you saw people out doing, like, physical art kind of stuff.
Sorry.
You just don't see. You don't see it as much. It's like people have gotten more into making it about buying the stuff. And I mean, you do get one thing that's really cool about it is you do get the options to buy art from, like, some of the Disney artists that you love, or you've seen some work on, and you think, wow, that's really cool. They'll sell it.
And
so you can always buy.
And sometimes they're there And if you do, and I have something
You get
that
to
I
visit.
purchased there. I visited with them, and actually, I visited with somebody who was a graduate of the same school that my daughter went to,
Yeah.
SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and he was there, and I got to talk to him, and I purchased the year before a piece of artwork that the artist was actually there, and he signed it for me, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
they've got some really neat
Yeah.
stuff. And I will tell you one other thing I really like about Festival of the Arts, though, even though I put it last, they pull out Figment at that point in time, which you don't see a lot of Figment any time the rest of the year. But during that Festival of the Arts, Figment becomes kind of a mainstay. They kind of made him almost the mascot at this point of your Festival of the Arts.
Well, right
And-
now
and
it's
that's
more
kinda
Orangeburg, which
Well,
is
well,
cool
Flower
too.
and Garden's kind of gotten to be the Orangeburg stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, is Orangeburg. So you kind of got different mascots depending on what time of the year it is. And I said, so it's kind of fun. You get a little bit of different stuff, and each one has their own. And I will tell you, two of your busiest times though is the Food and Wine Festival in the evenings.
Oh yeah.
It's really busy during that time, and it's very busy at the holidays. All holiday season, it's busy. So if you decide, I'm coming at the holidays and I don't want it to be busy, then don't come, because that's not going to work.
If you want to come, here's a little caveat about that. The earlier for the Festival of the Holidays is a little better. Now, I wouldn't come the day after Thanksgiving. I say nay. But the week after that,
Yes.
the next couple weeks after that, maybe the first week of December, it's not that bad. Although it's better. It's not great.
Yeah.
We have the ability. Our annual pass is kind of the weekday pass, and we go during the weekdays.
If you can get here during the weekdays, you almost always have less
I would go to
people
Epcot,
in particular.
especially when the festival going on. I would go to Epcot during the weekdays, unless you really like that crowded feeling.
And I mean, if you love it, God bless you.
And I will tell you, the parks in general are more crowded during the holidays.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Except for maybe Epcot. Not Epcot, but Animal Kingdom. But that's all I really can say. And we're running close to that half-hour time.
Yep.
Aren't we?
And I don't have anything else.
I don't have much more to say. Is that I guess we're more on agreement than we really thought, because as I come to think about it, I like the Festival of the Holidays better than the Festival of Arts. Festival of the Arts. You got to be careful how to say that. The two, Festival of the Arts and Festival of the Holidays, they run about the same time. Not time frame, but number of days.
Yeah.
And then you have Food and Wine and Flower and Garden run about the same amount of days. So you have really two long ones and two short ones.
Yes.
And actually, Epcot's kind of cool to get to when there's no festival at all.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't like crowds. With that said, I'm Pete.
I'm Jule.
And this is
Wyatt.
Sleepy Boy Wyatt. As you can see his hair throughout this whole video. We love you, and you have a blessed day. And we'll see you next week. Bye.